Well, the goal always in British Columbia is to get to the tallest mountain you can find, set the spotting scope up, and start glassing for a band of rams. Well, the snow was starting to come, the clouds were coming across the sun, it was starting to get cold and nasty and dark. About that time, Dan says, "I found the ram."
Dan is amazing at glassing, so when he spots a ram and tells us we're going after them, we know they're going to be good ones.
Well, that night back at the cabin, we made the game plan over supper. We were so excited we couldn't hardly sleep. We think tomorrow's the day Annetta's going to get her ram. We left about 8 in the morning, finally arrived about 10:30 or 11. We got a little spike camp set up, back on the horses, around the next valley. Now we're in the valley with the rams. By now it's 4 o'clock. We got the horses tied up and we're heading up this valley to go chase this ram. Well, by 7:30, we still hadn't got to them and we're trying to decide, well, are we going to make it or not?
The rams were on the move, but we finally caught up with them at 8:30.
Dan, he climbs up to this little point. He's glassing. All of a sudden he motions, "Come on, come on, come on." He found him. About that time, Annetta looks over at me and she says, "Callie, I'm going to pass this ram. He's not the one I'm looking for." I'm telling you right now, I wanted to cry like a baby. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to beat her, hug her, kiss her, or what. But that's not what I thought was going to come out of her mouth.
I think we're going to get a better one.
He was a big guy and he was gorgeous, but he was broomed off on the ends and I was really looking for a ram with flared tips.
I did everything I could to convince Annetta to whack that ram. Well, guess what? We slept that night in our bivy sacks on the side of the mountain because we were so exhausted we couldn't even make it back to the horses.
We hunted for 16 more days and we saw a lot of rams, just not a ram that I was looking for. That broomed off ram will just have to haunt me until I come back next year.
Well, we're back in BC and we're ready for Annetta's second ram adventure. We left the trailhead, we rode 8 hours in, we got our spike camp set up, we got everything ready to go. The next day, we're gonna start chasing some rams. Well, we came to this basin that Dan wanted to climb, and as always, when you get ready to go into a basin, you stop, you take off your coat, you get your water bottles filled up, get your horses all tied up, and you get ready for a day of hiking. Which one do we got to climb?
We don't have to climb that part. It kind of tapers down. The creek goes around.
Yeah.
So if it's dry, we might stay right in the creek.
We get about halfway up the mountain and I heard something smack. And I knew at the time that it was Annetta, and I turned around and looked and she had fallen and she was laying face down in these great big giant boulders and she wasn't moving.
Well, when I fell, I must have made a lot of noise because Cal was back to me in just an instant. And he looks in my face and he asks for my handkerchief and he goes and dips it in the water. I guess it was already starting to swell.
I fell into a rock.
We went on hiking and hunting that day for a few hours and it wasn't long before I started getting sleepy and I actually ran out of gas. That was it. I couldn't go anymore. The guys decided I might have a concussion and that they needed to get me back to camp.
Want some coffee?
Yep.
Well, the next day, she's up, she's feeling pretty good. She popped a bunch of aspirin. She said, guys, I'm feeling good, let's go chase a ram. Well, we're heading into this basin, and it's a long, long, beautiful basin. Normally basins in BC are pretty short, but Dan said, hey, this one's long, we're gonna see a lot of game in it, we should get into some rams. Halfway into the basin, I look over on my left, there's a big fat goat sitting right down low. Rifle range of the trail, I'm thinking Annetta's got a goat tag, let's whack this guy.
Our goal is to get a ram, and we don't want to shoot this goat and spook anything that's farther back in the basin. So we opt to head to the back of the basin and find a sheep. Well, we make it to the back of the basin and there weren't any sheep. So now we're a little bummed and wishing we hadn't passed that goat up.
We come around the corner. It wasn't 200 yards from where we saw the first goat. Here's another billy goat. He's almost in the same spot.
Well, Dan looked this goat over and he decided it was one we should take.
Yeah, I want you to shoot him right in the shoulder. Are you comfortable? I can't get to the trigger. Well, move it so you can. Don't shoot until you tell me. You ready? Okay, go to the goat.
Well, we're all excited. We're congratulating each other, hugging and kissing. We're pumped. Looking at Annetta's face, I'm all excited for her, thinking finally she got something, a little payback for smashing the side of her head. Well, we get up there and it is a old big billy goat. Watching Annetta shoot that goat, I was so excited for her. Looking at her tears and of joy, she had this giant bruise on her face. I was so excited that she had that goat on the ground. It was very well deserved.
Sometimes it doesn't even matter about size, it's about the experience. We had a great day. This was a great way to finish off a great day. Now it's time to take some photos, get this guy caped out, packed up in our packs, and head down the mountain. We decided after several days of hunting that we needed to see some new territory. So we packed up a spike camp and we headed up the valley.
Well, the sun was shining. It must have got almost 60 degrees. And we're hiking into this basin, and right off the bat, we run into two nice rams.
This is a really nice ram, but Dan and I, again, decided we're not going to take this one. Now all we had to do was decide who was going to tell Callie that we weren't going to shoot it.
I looked at her, I said, "Are you sure that's what you want to do?" She said, "Yeah, I don't want to shoot that ram unless she's got great big flaring curls. I don't want that ram." We get about another hour into the basin, we run into two more rams, we start glassing them. We finally realize that they're not big enough. Way in the back of the basin, we spot this single ram. We get back to him finally. We get set up with the spotting scope, and we look around the corner. All of a sudden, our sun had disappeared, and here comes this white wall of snow, and it's coming right down on us.
It snowed and snowed and snowed. It snowed so much that we didn't even get the camera out, so we didn't capture much of the day on film. But we spotted a band of rams and we're headed after them.
Well, we took our time and we worked our way down the mountain. When we come up on the other side, we finally got into position, set the spotting scope up, started looking. Dan looked at me and he said, "Callie, that's a big ram."
At this point in time, we had to hurry up and get ready. All the while, Dan's aging and trying to pick out which one of these rams we should take. After 20 minutes of waiting for the ram to break off from the rest of them, he finally did, and Dan gave me the okay to shoot.
351 yards, her ram hit the ground immediately. I tell you, I was so happy. I can't explain to you what it felt like to see that ram hit the ground and roll down that mountain.
I am so excited. I'm laughing, I'm crying, and I don't know that I've ever felt that emotional on a hunt before. We've had an exciting day today. I just killed my ram. Huh? Oh my gosh. Yes.
My God, look at them things.
I got stuff one last year, and Callie thought I was crazy. And by the end of the season, I kind of a little bit wondered if I was, but I'm only going to shoot one, and then I've already passed one up this hunt. But he was worth waiting for.
Look at that bad boy. Huh?
Finding a butte. My 30-day quest for a stone sheep had finally come to an end.
Back in the woods where you can't see the forest for all the cottonwood trees, my little humble abode sits back in a hole where nothing don't bother me. And in the spring of the year when the big birds strut, you can bet I'm gonna call. I'll be hunting tom turkeys and eating deer jerky that we killed back in the fall. I got a blonde-haired, green-eyed beauty queen. She knows how to treat me.